Alright, so we have the 6 shorter strips. Let's punch some holes in them so that we have the what are these called? Buckles mounted on them. Okay. Roughly centered. So if we were to put this through, okay, that's pretty good. So then now we just need to hold the holes on this side and we're ready to mount things like that. Okay. As for the holes on the other side, every centimeter. So here, here, here. Maybe here. I actually don't know how many I'll need, so I'll punch 4. Just in case. Come on. Okay, so I have 4 holes. So now the way this ends up working is essentially I'm going to sew it together and then feed this through like so, like that inside the bag. Pretty straightforward, nothing fancy. And let's replicate that on all 6. Alright, now that we have all the strapping, we have the smaller ones with the hole punches and the buckle holes. We have the longer ones that are near the top. I've only done the buckle holes at the bottom because I still need to shorten these to the length that I need. Right now most of them are 35 centimeters length. I think one of them was 32 just because the piece of leather was shorter. And then we have the main straps for the lid and the buckle straps for that connect to the bottom of these. So that's what we're working with. And so if these ones are this big, these ones are a little bit bigger. Again, same idea. These would be as such. Come on. Sewn on the front of the bag, and then these would come down with the lid and buckle in like this. So, alright, so first thing, let's punch out the 2 holes for the lid, and then we're going to do the stitching lines here. So, we have our template. These holes should be roughly 12 centimeters in and 2 centimeters from this edge, actually, not from this edge. So they're not exactly centered, they're slightly higher. So we're just going to roughly mark them. Okay. Let's punch that. Okay, so something like this. Okay. And the other one. There we go. So we have the holes. So the straps will be going in and out of these. Like that. I purposely am using the oblong ones just so we have nice round holes, so that if we had straight ones, the leather doesn't start tearing. And this gives it a little bit more body. So that's great. That's that. Now, in terms of stitching, this piece will need to be stitched all the way around the parameter. And then we're going to need the stitching holes for the plaque in the middle and the stitching holes for the straps on the sides. So let's do the parameter one. I think those we're going to do as a 5mm offset from the edge. And okay, so that will be stitched on like so. Boom, in there. Just gotta now punch these holes, and then long way around. Okay, the lid is all hole punched, so we have the stitching lines for the main pocket, or not the main pocket, but the plaque on the lid, which will go there. We have the rivet holes for the straps, which will go here. Okay, I slicked the edges, just or pre-slicked them, so I will be finishing them more later on, but for now that's good. So now the last thing that remains on the lid is to create the creases for the top part. So for those, where the crease would be. So the first one is 5 centimeters in. Alright, now that I have the lid creased, so that's kind of the shape it will have. We have this piece going here, and then we have the straps there and there. So that's kind of like what the lid would look like on the bag. Pretty happy with this. So now all that's left is let's replicate this for the other lid piece, and those will be ready for dyeing. As for the plaque, I still need to carve this. Again, I need to punch the other one and slick the edge. Let's do all that so that these things are ready to go. Alright, let's continue with the hole punching and creasing of the rest of the body of the bag. So I have my template here with all the holes on it and the creases, which we will refer to, but also one of the bodies. So first I'm going to examine which would be the face of the body. So there is a little bit of a ding here, and I think if we look at the back, yeah, there's like almost a hole in the leather. So this I think we're going to keep as the back side. So this will be the side with the holes on it. Now the other thing that we need to decide is just to make sure that I don't make these identical. This will be like this one one of the sides, and then on the other bag it will have to be the other way, just to make sure that the bag fits the other side of the bike, mostly because these holes are not all symmetrical. For this one, let's see, if we do it this way, where's that hole? Down here. Right out the lid, and if we were to put the lid on, that lines up pretty decently. I'll have to measure the exact position of this, but it will get sewn on like that. So that's perfect. Okay, let's punch the rest of the holes. Alright, we have all of the strap holes in place, and I've mocked up what two of the straps would look like. So the top ones will be longer, so they'll kind of be hanging up there, and then on the back they'll kind of look like this. Or this, not the back, but in the inside of the bag. And they'll be buckled in like this. This one's obviously not hole punched yet, but we'll figure out what the length I need is and the holes needed, and then should tighten it. Clip it at the right length, and that should let us hook onto whatever we need to. Okay, so now that these are figured out, I need to do the stitch lines. So up and around, as well as the horizontal one at the 5 centimeter mark for the lid to stitch on, as well as the front side stitching, which is again all the way around down here. I think we're not doing, oh no, I am doing the horizontal stitch across the bottom as well. So let's mark those down with the stitching groover and start punching them up. Okay, the stitching grooves are marked up, so we have all the way down the side, just on the front side above the fold, across for the lid to get sewn on, and then on the other side, and then on the front side we have essentially the edge, and then just above the bottom fold. We still will need to mark the spots where the buckle straps will get attached, but that we can do later. For now, let's hole punch the stitching line so that we have things lined up. Okay, all the stitching holes are done, so the bag would be like nicely stitched like this on the front, and on the back it'll look like this. Again, nicely stitched on the bottom. Have all the holes for the straps, and the lid will be stitched on to the top part. The only piece that's missing now is the proper creases down the middle so that the bag actually folds nicely. So we're just going to scribe those in, and this piece is more or less ready. I will need to mark the stitching or riveting holes for the buckles, but that I'll do later on. So for now, let's just mark this and make the other piece for the other bag as well, and then we'll move on. Alright, crease lines are made, bag folds nicely, has a more or less flat bottom, as you can see. So this piece is good to go. Now we just need to replicate it on the other one. Alright, so all the pieces are punched for stitching. As you can see, this is the back piece. They're also creased so that we have a nice flat bottom. Same with the lids, where they're creased so we have flat tops, flat sides, flat fronts. The sides as well, I haven't creased them yet, but I've created the lines for creasing. That's because I will probably be gluing them on first, just to make stitching a little bit easier. And the plaques on top, these just need to be carved now. So while I carve those, I'm actually going to start dyeing the rest of the pieces, so we actually get the colors right, and be ready for starting to assemble. Since these pieces are kind of going to be one of the last pieces to just get stitched onto the lids, we can kind of delay them a little bit and continue with assembling the rest of the bag, or bags. So let's set up for dyeing and carving those things. Okay, so from dyeing a few things until now, I think the key here with this particular leather is not oversaturating it with dye. So only using very little dye at a time. Okay, let's let these pieces dry a bit and see what kind of patterns we ended up with my messy dye job once everything's dry, and we'll likely need to do another coat just to make sure that things are more even in color. Alright, so the plaques for the lids are finally fully carved. This one's still drying actually. Everything else has been dyed and is drying, so we're going to leave it overnight so that this stuff hopefully evens out, so it's like one smooth coat of brown. The lids over here is a little bit darker, so these straps, they're also quite a bit wet still. I still need to dye these, but that will leave for next time. So pretty much that's it. Make sure to subscribe, hit the little bell for notifications when new videos will become available. Check me out on Instagram at Balkan Moto 2018, and make sure to check out www.balkanmoto.com, where I post different articles in regards to leatherwork, but also the cafe builds and other such things. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.